I just want to say thank you for everything that you do. You've absolutely changed my life for the positive, and I just want to thank you. I was 29-year-old beta, living at home with my mom, and just was living in fear and in doubt, and I couldn't hold down a job. And then I found you, and I started listening. I started just being more at peace, and I forgave my mom, and I forgave my father. And it's like right after that, everything just changed in my life, and I was able to get a good job, and I moved out, and I live on my own now, and everything has just changed. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for spreading that message. It really is a positive message.
Amazing. That's good, man. I want people to know God loves us in ways that there are no words to express, because you have nothing to compare it to, right? Stay with the silent prayer. You haven't seen anything yet. It gets better. We have a counseling service, and I have to admit, thanks to God, it is the best counseling service on this side of heaven. I counsel with men and women, families, individuals around the world. Most people are unhappy, they're miserable, they have rough lives, they're depressed, suicidal, young and old, of all races. I understand, I know why, and I do understand it. Because exactly what's happening in me is happening with everybody outside of me, inside of them. And I've noticed that with those who really, really, really want to understand, they overcome it just like that, out of one counseling session. If you need counseling, you can go to rebuildingtheman.com. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Appreciate that on this fine Monday. What a fine Monday it is to be back with you today. Got a bit of a show for you. You know how it goes. The world is fighting, okay? It's war, okay? It's war. And they done brought it on American soil. They done did it on American soil. Terrorism on American soil. Some thoughts on that, actually. But I'm sure you may have heard of it. It's an attack. It's happening in the U.S. Is never again now? Are we within never again? Are we, in fact, not waiting for outside of the context of never again? Are we actually within? Is never again now? You know, things we're hearing, some thoughts on it all. The fighting. But, you know, you've heard of it, right? There was an attack, okay? It was a flamethrower. And they were saying it was a white man. At first, you know, it was hard to know, okay? Don't get mad at the media. Don't be so quick to judge the media. Oh, the media. We got to really watch out. Someone's got to defend the media. Don't be so quick to judge the media. The man had fair skin, and it was hard to tell, okay? Some of these Egyptians can maybe look white sometimes. It depends. Some people aren't as culturally educated like myself and my viewers of this show. I inflict cultural education on them on the daily, and they didn't ask for it. I mean, they didn't ask for a lot of things, but welcome to America. Welcome to the show. We'll be getting into that and a number of other things, okay? A number of things on my mind, folks. Enter my mind, my insane mind. But there's interesting things there. If you want to call in, you could call in. It's 888-775-3773. You got something on your mind, something you want to talk about. You want to get it going here, okay? Plenty to talk about. We got a show to get into. I want to welcome my viewers here on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Appreciate my viewers on punchy.tv/Anchor Baby, dlive.tv/Gorgonzola, and of course my viewers here on YouTube will not be forgotten. The community leaders fighting for the crowns. If it's not a war in the streets of America, if it's not a firebomb, if it's not bombs in Ukraine and Russia and drones coming out of trucks. Did you see that? We might get into that. If it's not drones coming out of trucks, it's my chatters clamoring for a digital crown in the chat. I hope you're having fun and enjoying it. Okay, fight away for the crown, okay? Manja, okay? Manja. Eat up. It's fun, okay? Everybody wants to be number one. Everybody wants to be number one, and they're fighting for the digital crown in the chat. Welcome to the show. Like the stream. Don't be rude. Show a little decorum. Show some of that home training. We know you went and forgave mama, but she still left you with some manners, okay? She didn't just leave you with nothing, okay? She's like, okay. It's like you hear about forgiving mamas. Not every mom was like beating you, okay? They're evil. They're evil. You got to forgive them all. But some of them taught you some manners, okay? At least a little bit, okay? Come on in. Don't be rude. Show some decorum. Click the like button. Say hello at least. Leave a comment. Maybe you don't like the show. Leave a comment. Other than that, I got to say welcome. Happy Monday. Kicking off the week here. And what can I say? Kicking off the week with the Anchor Baby. Joel Friday tomorrow. Don't miss him. You know, he wasn't on today. I see you in the chat. I see you clamoring for JF. Where's JF? Where is JF? Don't worry. But what else here? 888-775-3773. Pretty much might as well jump in in the news here. So, and we'll get to the coffees and super chatters and all the supporters. We'll get to all that. Welcome, everybody. Clayton, Lord Spike Protein. What's up, C-South Skip, Mr. Pink, Sweet Amy, the sweetest of Amy's. Mark, how you doing, Albert? Welcome, everybody. Terrorismo, Amy? Is one attack just one attack? Or is it terrorism? Sweet Amy is wondering things. Terrorismo. Maybe I shouldn't say these words so much. Maybe I should chill. But they're talking about it, okay. They got the news cycle is kind of heavy on this. Sunday, basically, you must know by now a little bit. Yesterday there was an attack. Colorado here on American soil, right? No, in America. Colorado, an attack at this march for Israeli hostages. Okay, Boulder, Colorado. Now I'm not too familiar with Colorado. Colorado. Anchor Baby geography here. No, I've never been. Just making sure. Making sure if I've been. No, I have not. Colorado. So where was I? Look, there it was an attack. Boulder, Colorado. A man used a makeshift flamethrower, they're describing it as. And 8 people hospitalized, okay, after using this makeshift flamethrower. Terrible stuff. And reports of an incendiary device being thrown. You heard of the term Molotov cocktail. You might see evidence of that here in a moment. But 8 hospitalized, 2 seriously, 4 men, 4 women who range in age from 52 to 88. They were at an event called Run for Their Lives. Okay, Run for Their Lives has been holding events in cities reportedly around the world to call for attention about to call for the attention for these hostages that were taken by Hamas on October 7th, okay? October 7th, Hamas took hostages. They attacked in this attack, okay? Kicking this all off. Witnesses say man threw an incendiary device into the crowd and that he yelled, "Free Palestine," during the attack, according to special agent in charge of the FBI's Denver field office. Okay, that's where it happened. And what happened? Fire, some injured, 8 injured, some ranging from minor to severe. Victims, from minor to serious, at least 2 flown by helicopter to a burn unit in Denver. And it was pretty early. The reports were going around on X and the videos were going around. And I know this got a lot of negative attention, like, of course they would. Well, of course. Well, but of course, you're in America in 2025. Have you checked the year lately? Everything is the fault of the white man, some were saying on the internet, upon their ears hearing this sound and their eyes looking at this video. They were then a chain of events which one could argue was not of their own, even of their own will, kicked off this person, multiple people watching this, outraging them, saying, well, of course, white men are being blamed even for this.
As far as the investigation itself, we're still trying to verify and confirm some video, but it appears to show a significant portion of the incident as it happened. There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male.
White male? Individual taken into custody. He's a white male, they're saying.
He's a white male. Whether or not that's the person that police ultimately arrested and will ultimately charge in this crime, a bit of a question at this time, but that's just what we've seen so far.
And so that was early reports, okay? Let me show you the white man in question. The white man in question. His name. Sorry, hold on here. His name. The suspect was identified as Mohammed Sabri Soliman of Colorado Springs. Mr. Soliman, 45 years old. Mohammed Sabri Soliman. Okay? Definitely not a white man sounding name, but I mean, let me could I at least show you a picture first before we get crazy here? If I could just show you a little picture here real quick of Mohammed Sabri Soliman. And you can maybe forgive the mainstream media just for a moment, right? He even said he didn't know. If this is more of a side note, okay? This is more of a side note, okay? Like, yeah, got to close the borders. The demographic change of America is what will change it irreversibly, meaning a minority of white people will be in America that I don't want to roll the dice on. What would it be? That being said, when the news says white male, when looking at this, don't be a little automaton. Don't be a little input-output robot. Ooh, my eyes and ears saw them say white man, but name is Mohammed. Yeah, this is the attack on white men. It's like, let's please don't be a little robot. Don't be just like a easily controlled by the world. You got to overcome the world, even if the facts are correct, or the facts are whatever. You got to overcome the world, okay? My little eyes and ears saw them call this man white man, and it's like, obviously, the reason they called him white man is because of this anti-white conspiracy. And now, it's not even a conspiracy. Like, there is anti-white stuff. I'm just saying. This is a different comment on emotions. This is a commentary on emotions. A side note on emotions. Who was he? Mohammed Sabri Soliman. They say of Colorado Springs. That's funny. New York Times. Sabri Soliman of Colorado Springs. Now, how long was he of Colorado Springs? We'll get into that, but he was taken into custody after witnesses pointed him out, booked on multiple felony charges. A spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security said that Mr. Soliman was in the United States illegally. Take that one in. Having entered in August 2022 on a tourist visa from Egypt, stayed past the visa's expiration in February 2023, He filed for asylum in September 2022. So this guy was here illegally, overstayed visas, overstayed work permit, was not supposed to be here. The FBI is investigating the attack as an act of terrorism, adding that the preliminary facts made it clear that this is a targeted act of violence. Now, of course, they're saying it's because of he himself was saying free Palestine, allegedly screaming end Zionists, allegedly. I mean, in the video that has been going around of this guy, and I'll let you see it for yourself. It sounds like he is saying free Palestine and a number of things here. So, can we really go around scratching our heads saying, man, another senseless act of violence? What could the motive have been? Mohammed Soleimani yelling free Palestine. I mean, just another senseless act of violence, an unclear motive. Let's wait for all the facts. It's like, okay, now I'll tell you right now, that's the news is reporting. The FBI is saying that he said free Palestine and a number of other things. Here's some of that footage of who they're saying is Mohammed Soleimani, holding two receptacles of a clear liquid. And you have to assume maybe those are the incendiary devices or what. It's unclear, but they're saying this is in fact Soleimani. And in this video, I think you can even hear him say free Palestine, just to let you see it. I know a number of people saw this, and there's a number of people saying that this footage is something strange about this footage. Why is nobody restraining this individual if this is purportedly footage of the incident right after it happened? I'll say I find it as similarly strange, but another part of me says, well, would you run up to this guy? And I mean, if he's standing there and law enforcement's on the way, if the situation is sort of stable as it stands, I mean, would you get yourself involved? I don't know. I'll let you watch this 40 seconds here before we move on.
We can't do nothing about that.
You can't do nothing about that. I mean, I'm assuming myself that, we're starting off here in the middle, and that this guy, whatever he's yelling about, whoever's in the crowd yelling back to him, is, I think, attempting to calm him down, saying, we can't do anything about what you're yelling about. He's saying, you can't, and I think the man even responds, you can. So I don't know what, it's like, why even talk to this guy? Like, we can't do anything about that, brother. Like, you firebombed the right guys. Now put those things down. I mean, I guess that's the guy you want. Where's the guy with the gun, right? Like, whatever. We're here, brother. We're here.
We
can't do nothing about that.
We can't do nothing.
We can.
You can.
We have to end Zionists.
We have to end Zionists, he says.
People are taking video right now.
It sounds like he says that.
He was wearing an orange suit.
You see there's smoke and like burn marks on the ground here. I think you can almost see the lick of flames, in fact, coming out of that patch of grass right next to him. You see that? It looks like a little lick of flames. A little tongue of fire, and I don't think that's the spirit, or some kind of spirit. LGBT flag in the background.
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails on him.
And so right there, you hear someone sounds like they're saying, had the same question I had, like, why isn't anybody doing anything? The guy sounds like the cameraman maybe says, well, we can't do anything when he has Molotov cocktails. He's holding these dangerous incendiary devices.
Well, we can't do it when he's got
And kill us, he says maybe. Sounds like he's definitely still yelling about these, what I have to assume are these Zionists, etc.
cocktails on him.
If you are fighting, you have to.
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov.
Killed by thousands. That's not how a white man speaks. They are killers. Now look at this individual. Video ends right there. What possessed this person? Is this? Oh, I'm gonna be, because you have to assume. Look right there. There's nobody there next to the bench. The camera moves this way. The camera moves back, and suddenly now there is someone. Obviously, in between 30 seconds to 40 seconds, an individual walked up to this man. Literally, what is wrong with you? You have to be an intellectual in your mind. You have to be believing thoughts and emotions to walk up to this person and say, hey, do you realize what you're doing is wrong? I've seen, I don't even know. He's like, we can't even make out what he's saying, but he's tapping his chest, making a very, bringing himself into this conversation. I don't know, not very smart. Didn't he just set 8 others on fire? Allegedly, right? I mean, that's what purportedly had happened right before this video. Crazy stuff. That's the little bit of the footage for you. Mohammed Soleimani in custody. And that's pretty much the dealio with the guy there. Now, a little bit more on him, I think. Like I was saying, he had entered 2022 tourist visa, Egyptian national. Let me see. Did I have something else interesting about him? If you could give me 1 second. Now, did I have any other interesting tidbits about Mohammed Soleimani before we move on? Because there's something about this whole response that I can't help but have that comment on, okay? Yeah, Mohammed Sabri, so this is from J-Post, Jerusalem Post. Mohammed Sabri Soleiman waited a year until a daughter graduated before carrying out attack, apparently. So his daughter graduated? The United States District Court charged Mohammed Sabri Soleiman with a federal hate crime after wounding 8 individuals demonstrating in support of the hostages held by Hamas on Sunday. Federal Bureau of Investigation confirmed on Monday that Soleiman, a resident of El Paso, was arrested and was the main suspect behind this attack. During an interview, Soleiman admitted to watching YouTube videos on how to make Molotov cocktails, purchased the materials to make them. He stated he wanted to kill all Zionists, wished all Zionists dead, and said he would repeat the attack if given the opportunity. That's coming from Jerusalem Post, a little bit more on Soleiman. He told officials that he had been planning the attack for a year, but wanted to wait for his daughter to graduate from university before carrying it out. You just you got to be watching out for the bottom line, right? These immigrants, these people, it's like, I got to commit this terrorist attack, but first, we got to make sure we get ours. On Sunday afternoon, a man threw Molotov cocktails and used an improvised flamethrower to do this targeted attack. Soleiman was first heard screaming, "Free Palestine," currently being held on a $10 million bond. Okay, I think that's enough info on him, right? Neighbors told the media they did not know Soleiman well, but that a family with 3 kids lived at the raided address. Originally from Egypt, stayed in 22 with a non-immigration visa, allowed him to stay until 23. He was granted work authorization until March of that year, 2023, which allowed him to stay till March 2025, showing, this describes his then illegal status post March 2025. And this is all post failed asylum claims. These people, they come here and they claim asylum, and he failed, apparently. So, this here, Jerusalem Post writes, it's believed Soleiman acted alone in the attack, but it comes only weeks after 2 Israeli embassy staffers were murdered outside the Jewish Museum in Washington by a pro-Palestinian gunman. You remember that one, I'm sure. And that little tidbit, segues into kind of what I was thinking about this, okay? Because it's terrible, right? It's a terrible attack, and initial thoughts on an attack like this, as I've kind of been saying, is it shouldn't even be happening on American soil. There's something wrong about these endlessly atomized fights of foreigners. Honestly, you have India, Pakistan, Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia. Even though America has a deep part to play in a lot of this, you have the individuals here in the public spaces of America having these protracted conflicts. And you think to yourself, it doesn't make sense. But, that's just kind of like initial thing. I've been thinking that for a bit. Upon seeing this attack here, it kind of hit me. How do I put this? I don't know if it hit me, but allow me to paint this picture. You start with the comments here coming from Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel over there. He's quoted describing the attack as an act of anti-Semitism. Mr. Netanyahu said, "This attack was aimed against peaceful people who wished to express their solidarity with the hostages held by Hamas simply because they were Jews." And I'm looking at this attack and I'm seeing some of the responses. I'm seeing a number of I'm seeing some commentary surrounding this that really revolves around this notion of never again, so to speak. Like, check this out. This is Stop Anti-Semitism, an account on X that runs the X social media account for this organization known as Stop Anti-Semitism. You're somewhat familiar with them. They're not too unlike organizations like the ADL and maybe even the SPLC. But, you know, their thing is about stopping anti-Semitism. And they made a post about this attack, and it reads like this: a Holocaust survivor was just firebombed at a Jewish event by pro-Palestinian extremists. We are beyond the point of warnings. This is terrorism. The pro-Palestine movement must be called what it is. And so how do I begin talking about this? I mean, to express what I'm trying to say, first you have to understand this concept, right? What they're getting at when they're saying we are beyond the point of warning. What they're warning about, and you've heard this refrain that comes from the anti-Semitism folks and the people, what they're referring to, what's the beyond the point of warning and never again is essentially another Holocaust, another World War II. And I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with that period in time, not the nicest period of time, and I gather some pretty nasty things happened, okay, to a lot of people, including Jews. And that's what they're talking about when they're saying never again, when they're saying we are beyond this point of warning, okay? Why is it interesting to me? Because how do I put this? There's this notion of never again, like I said, means to avoid anything like World War II, anything like a Holocaust, anything like killing Jewish people. They want to avoid that. Same here, by the way. I wouldn't want such a thing happening. Let me just put that out there. But there's a couple of things about this diagnosis that I find, I mean, number one, just wrong. I mean, and when it comes to reality and truth, I mean, you know, number one, that's on its own is bad enough. It's just simply wrong. But there's something else about this diagnosis. It's just I find vulgar even. It's not just wrong. It's something vulgar about this diagnosis that now there's a rise in anti-Semitism that must be stopped. And this attack is part of this. There's something about this diagnosis I find just wrong and vulgar, because I wouldn't want to see any more of that. And I think personally, I think the ism people, the anti-Semitism people are adding to the problem actually. And I think they're going to cause more of this when I would like to see less of it. I wouldn't want to see this at all. See, the thing is, this is not just popping off. This attack with Mohammed Suleiman, this attack, even the earlier attack when those two embassy officials were murdered by some guy with a last name Rodriguez. These friggin' Hispanic intellectual radicals, man. I swear, these Hispanics, they'll just like look at a fight and be like, let me be radical. Not me. I would never do. Not me. But these attacks are not just popping off because of some random Jewish hate just randomly surfacing up, okay? That's not what's happening. There's not just just a group of people like this something is run like a fever running through a population, just randomly like, you know what, I hate Jewish people. Like, no, that's not what's happening. This was an Egyptian illegal. This was an Egyptian national illegally in America, mad about the wars that are happening now. These wars are happening they have a temporal address. You understand what I mean by that? Meaning they're happening now between people that consider themselves a certain identity. Some call themselves Israeli and Jewish. Others call themselves Palestinian and Muslim. This anti-Semitism, these attacks, again, popping off not because of some random Jewish hate, but because actual temporal conflicts that are happening are popping off today. And then guess what? The people who care about these temporal conflicts are in America. You understand what's happening? So you have a war that's happening now, and then this man that is here thanks to our government. And guess what happens with people? People have identities. They consider themselves part of a group, politically, religious, etc., racially. And guess what happens with these people and their identities? These are conflicts of people. These are conflicts of people. And then these people are in this country. And then who let them in, right? You remember that Jewish man? I think he was Jewish, that stabbed that Palestinian child in Illinois. Do you remember that? Remember he stabbed the Palestinian and then his mother? And I don't remember, you look into the story. I mean, the alleged motive, according to the law enforcement and all that, is because of this conflict that popped off with Hamas and Israel. And however you feel about it, I think it's terrible. These people want to attack Israel and all that. But whatever you feel about it, that's why he did that. That's why this Joseph Suba back in like a year or 2 years ago did that in Illinois. This is a conflict of people and what they believe. Understand, right? Not just like a random anti-Semitism that's just like bubbling out of the ground. You understand? And why is that important? Why is that important to me? Why am I making a point of that? Consider for a moment this cult, the cult of ism, I'm going to call it here. The cult of ism, which is whatever. What am I coming up with here? This cult of ism, right? It's the same cult that created the word racism. Why was that word created? Why was that word taught to us? It was all for what? So that racism can never happen again. You understand? We were taught that racist things happen and that America was racist and slavery happened and all these things happened so that we may never commit racism again, right? But consider for a moment what we've learned about the cult of ism and the people pushing the ism words and racism. Whatever their motivation is, clearly we know it's so that never again can happen. Whatever their motivation, it has not worked, okay? They created a monster. The same monster has sided with Hamas. Consider the words they use, Zionist, etc. The words they use on Jewish people and people who support Israel. These are the same people who see the Jews as a colonialist force. These are the same people who see white people in Europe and all these countries as a enduring colonialism. Where do you think they got that from? The ism cult, the racism thing. That's where they got that from. So I say that to make this point that it's just a wrong approach that it's just a wrong approach right there on its face to say that this is anti-Semitism. I just showed you. It's not just popping up out of the ground. This is mad individuals believing with their beliefs. So it could be wrong or right. I say it's wrong in many cases. Hate is wrong. You ask me. You guys know me. You guys watching my show. But even further, if I may even take it even a step further, it's not just even wrong on its face because of the cult of ism. Even further, I'd say the cult of ism has even caused and is as even the driving force of this so-called anti-Semitism in the first place. Consider for a moment that leveraging a victimhood status, saying that Right. That's saying that a group requires a particular protection actually brings hate on them on a larger scale. It has quite the opposite of effect, actually. Consider that reality. Now, put the Jews in this situation, and bada bing, you now have what I think is happening. The negative effects of leveraging a victimhood status. I think it's working out badly in the long term, and I don't want to see bad things happening to the Jews. I love them. So if I may, a little point of self-reflection. Not to say that these people out there got firebombed, that they deserved getting firebombed. I definitely am not saying that. I do like victim blaming. I do like victim blaming personally. I think we can learn a lot. And what can I say? It's something about this cultivism and leveraging victimhood that I think is going to make things worse, honestly. So just you don't need to do that. You don't need to, first of all. You don't need to. I think the only reason you would need to is if you don't believe in truth, because the truth would protect the Jews in America. You wouldn't need an ism word. The truth is hate is wrong, and violence, because somehow war is going over there, and firebombing some individuals who are here because they feel a certain way about it, is just wrong. You now don't need a identity word to protect you, and then like all this this world and money and all this stuff. So the truth would protect you, right? And it's just wrong what's happening, honestly. This attacks on them, and I personally think it's just wrong. So anyways, moving on, I think you get it, right? The point is just wrong. It's wrong, these attacks that are happening. And then if you want to avoid these attacks and understand what's happening in America, right? Angry people. This Mohammed Solomon is insane, and angry and insane to think that setting these people on fire would do anything good. And then let's say you want to avoid that ever happening again. You want to understand why it's happening. I think you'd get closer to the answer by understanding why and what motivates people, as opposed to just saying, well, look at that. That's just that Jew hate just popping up in the world. It's irrational, and it's just bubbling up out of the ground. It's like, no. That Muhammad shouldn't have been here, and he would have done that over there in Egypt. But because our government loves illegal immigrants, Muhammad gets to do that over here. But he would have done that over there because he's mad at the Jews, and then the Jews are mad at him, and they have their conflict. But that's what's happening, okay? Not just, oh my gosh, there's that anti-Semitism popping off. It's like, no, get these people out of here. So anyways, what else about this? That's pretty much it on that. 888-775-3773 if you got something on your mind about this. There's one more thing, one more aspect to this. One more aspect I wanted to bring up about this, why it interested me, this attack and all that. Besides it being wrong, besides the diagnosis being wrong as well, there's one more aspect to this. And I know some are pretty unhappy with Trump about this one. So here's the news for you. I personally don't necessarily see it as good either, but at the same time, I do
gathering of Jewish community members.
I do see. How do I put this? I may disagree with Trump on this one, but I mean, Trump is coming at it from a different place. I think another part of him does not see. Simply just does not see what is negative about this. So allow me to give you just a little bit of the news here. It has to do with, just look at this. Trump is saying that this is not going to be tolerated. This attack in Boulder, Colorado will not be tolerated, as he says. This act of terrorism will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is yet another example of why we must keep our borders secure, deport illegal anti-American radicals from our homeland. My heart goes out to the victims of this terrible tragedy and the great people of Boulder, Colorado. That was Trump on Truth Social. And it's particularly important because of this little bit of news that people are not too happy about, okay? They're not too happy with Trump about this one. New York Times Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans, okay? Now, you may have heard this name before. A little name of a company that keeps getting thrown around. You've heard of it before, maybe. Palantir. Now, that name is also... Now, why they chose that name is because that's the name of, like, the all-seeing orb in Lord of the Rings. Okay, there's these orbs used in Lord of the Rings, a type of crystal ball that could let people see across vast distances, see visions. That's what happened. How they were used in Lord of the Rings. Palantir, U.S.-based company, a little bit of a secretive company, but basically what they work in is data acquisition and artificial intelligence that analyzes all this vast amount of data. I mean, Palantir, founded by Peter Thiel, a big player lately in the political game, big donor to Trump, and a big supporter. I mean, if you ask me, something's got to be right about that guy, right? If he likes Trump, at least some percentage of this Peter Thiel guy's got to be right. I don't know what percentage that is, but it's got to be, right? Some percentage. Anyways, I'm bringing this up. Why? People are not too happy. I don't even know if it's that deep of that big in the news. This is maybe more for people who are more in the know. But some are out there not too happy about it. They're saying, what's this? Trump, you're basically expanding government surveillance. Like, this is something that's not right about that. They don't like it. And I understand some of those things. What can I say? What I really want to say about this little tidbit is not even so much a defense or a criticism against Trump on this. I'm not even that familiar with the details, but if I may comment on this without making a comment on that, if I can have that luxury. Because, I can understand that. Like, expand government surveillance. Put it like this, though. I mean, America has been kind of marching to a society for a long time here. Well before me. Is it fair to say before Trump? America, and this concerns immigration, this concerns crime, this concerns the inability for America to deal with, for example, being honest about black crime. And from that, an inability to be honest about a number of things, we arrived to today. We arrived to an America that has been atomized racially, religiously, politically, meaning you have all sorts of different groups, and they disagree. They're all here. They're all close but separate. And you consider for a moment what sort of society has been forming in America for decades. You hear about an America where you used to be able to you used to leave your front door unlocked. I heard about an America like that. I never lived in it. I lived in an America and a Canada where I always locked the door. I mean, it's just how I was. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, it seems like anything could happen to you. It's just a little too dangerous for that. Not that I was thinking when I was a kid, like, wow, this is such a dangerous world. It was just logical to me. Why would I leave the front door unlocked? Bad things can happen. I guess people just didn't think like that before. You just left it unlocked. And so what I'm getting at is this march to this different society, which has to do with the people here, the change in the type of people here, and the number of things I've already brought up, right? You start gathering this picture of a society that you can't stop. What is in the way of such a society? I mean, at one point, it used to be decent folk, merely decent folk. Consider the unlocked front door scenario. What do you need for such a situation? You need decent folk, and not just you, but the people around you, at least to a large amount. I'm sure at least more than half. And so you understand, you start gathering this picture that's what that kind of society was. In a society where you have crime, stealing from the stores, what do you start having? You think CVS wants to lock up the toothpaste and lock up every little item? You think they want to do that? No, it's a response. You think people, you have these public settings and parks and all that stuff that people enjoy. Have you been to parks lately? Yeah, there's some nice ones, I'm sure. But a lot of, and again, you have to, I'm here right now, I'm talking about cities. But you can draw your parallels. But you go to a number of public amenities in a city, in an American city. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's an unusable thing. You don't touch that. You don't go there, and unless you have to. Public amenities, parks, etc. These are homeless encampments. These are not places of the community. You start gathering. You start painting the picture of what kind of state you're gonna have. You have to live in. Not necessarily that Trump wants or that you want, but an America that you have to live in. Yeah, inflicted upon you by politicians, by all sorts of things. We can get to that. But that being said, the surveillance state remains and you almost have to live in it. You know, you can't have nice things. You can't have a nice free park and a nice public bathroom and a nice country where you're not surveilled by the government and you're not surveilled by Palantir and you're not and the government is not putting together a shared data database. You know, it would be nice. And you can criticize Trump for it. Fine. You're allowed to do such a thing. You're allowed to criticize and say, hey, what the heck, man? Is not what I voted for. I can't help but bring up the things I brought up because not in an attempt to derail the criticisms, but I would ask the critic, hey, are you living in the reality? Like, is your criticism deep or shallow? It would be deeper if you knew the whole story. And the story is that America has not, for example, dealt with, for example, for decades, they just say, we're just racist, and they look at black criminality, and they'll literally look at a disproportionate incarceration rate and think, that has to be because blacks are being just randomly, they did not commit those crimes. Those cops are just throwing them in because racism. How are you going to have nice things in a society like that? Okay, a society that can't handle being honest about that, okay? You're not going to have nice things. So you understand, for the critic who I welcome and I appreciate it, I'm not even sitting here like a Trump defender. I'm not getting paid. Hey, Trump administration, pay me to defend you. So shout out. I'm just saying that as a, hey, do you have the full story? Because it would be, you need to kind of have it, don't you think, to have a better conclusion as to how did we get here? You know, how did we get to a surveillance state? And you know what? In Trump's mind, I honestly, he sees these attacks. He sees the Palestinians. He sees these protests. He sees the people with the scarves. They're all anti-American. They're burning the flags. He looks upon America and it's like, it's anti-American everywhere. And you know what? When it's to him, when it's whatever, how he perceives it, I can see him pressing the button. Hey, make the database. Make the database on these people. I need to know who's coming in. I need to know who, because, yeah, expand government surveillance because look at the mess we're in. Look at the absolute mess we're in we got terrorists, anti-this, that. We have no clue who's coming. For years and decades, we have no clue who's coming in. So a part of me, I can see how he sees it in a sense. I don't know if he totally sees everything. Because it comes down to this. You expand government surveillance. You expand the things that you want to expand. It comes down to, well, will these powers, in whose hands will it land in? Now, if you ask me if it's in Trump's hands, let's go. Surveil, I don't care. Become a dictator for all I care. But I think he'd do the right thing for America. But again, it comes down to who will this power fall in the hands to? And anyways, moving on here. The road to dystopia, on the road to utopia, to surveil everyone so that you can never have crime anymore. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of casualties, and it sounds like a nasty affair that we're going to have to go through. A part of me wonders, who is it that's doing it? Who is it who's gathering the database? Is it Patriots? Is it based Patriots? I just don't know. But hey, what will that future look like? I don't know. It's really an incoming future I don't see anybody stopping. Okay, we're going to have, what am I talking about here? Palantir and a database of Americans? I mean, there's nothing stopping this. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have what they're going to call like a citizen ID or something like that, where your physical, biological identity will be tied and connected with a digital identity, so to speak, a digital footprint, where you won't really be allowed to be anonymous. So that's pretty much goodbye to privacy, but what are the pros here? There's pros and cons. There's pros and cons here. So cons of like a statewide database of Americans. No privacy. That doesn't sound too good. You run the risk of political persecution. That's pretty bad, right? It's not like everybody in the government is an ally to white America, Christian America, reasonable America, doesn't want to trans the kids America. It seems like we don't really have allies everywhere. So that should be somewhat concerning. Okay, so that's cons. Here's a pro for you. Here's a pro. You didn't consider this. You're not going to have to log into anything anymore. That's going to be nice, huh? Huh? Weigh them out. Pros and cons. Huh? Police surveillance state, an absolute surveillance state because you can't be honest because you can't tell the blacks, hey, I didn't cause you to commit that crime, dummy. You're doing that. Not me. I didn't make you do that. It's not racism. Okay, yeah, either that or because, but that's the cost is, okay, so that's the cost, but you never have to log into anything anymore. Isn't that annoying? You open up a browser, it's like, I got logged out. I swear I have to log into this. I have to log into that. I got to remember my password. You don't have to do that anymore. It's going to be tied. It's going to be tied to your identity. Your biometric data will be tied to your Facebook account. So you're not going to have to log in anymore. So hey, whatever. A little bit of give, a little bit of take. Huh? What do you think? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So anyways, can't wait. Some of you can't wait. Some of you saying you can't wait. Nick really selling the corporate slave state. Sounds not too bad, right, Zazen? It's called a password manager. OMG, you're such a boomer. You know how many people I've shown password managers to? Everything is fake. It doesn't work. These people will not learn. These people refuse to learn. So honestly, you know who's really bringing it? Who's really bringing in the mark of the beast? You know, you guys are out there like, you Zoomers, you can't put down your phones. You guys are on the video games, on the social medias. It's like, you guys are going to bring in the mark of the beast. When they put the chips in us, it's you Zoomers, you young people. You guys are going to love it, okay? You guys can't even get off your phones. You know what? Honestly, it's the boomers who will bring it in. You know why? Because you guys refuse to remember your passwords. You refuse to have a password manager. You refuse to, I'll tell you, just please, for the love, if there's one thing you remember, you don't remember all these passwords. Just remember your iCloud password. It's the master password that will allow you to log into all these other things. Apple is trying their best to make it easy for you, but you refuse to even remember that. And so when the government says, hey, you don't have to remember passwords anymore, just put this chip in and you don't have to log into anything anymore, who do you think is going to be clamoring for that first? Exactly, the boomers. So get off our backs here, okay? Like the Zoomers are the only ones bringing in the technocratic future hell. It's we're all in this together, okay? Boomers are doom scrolling on TikTok, okay? So tell me where I'm wrong, okay? 888-775-3773. It's like, seriously, the mark of the beast. Oh, the Zoomer, oh, these youngins, the Zoomer, oh, you guys love your technology. The boomers love the technology, and they're going to get the chip first, okay, because they hate logging in. So anyways, sorry. It's going off. I had to go off there, little moment there. You can call me back. I had some callers here trying to call me, 888-775-3773. I'll get to you, okay? I'm done. I'm done with them. I'm done berating them. I'm done berating them, okay? I'm telling you, they will bring in the mark of the beast first in their hubris. The Zoomer buy-in will be discount on insurance / healthcare costs. Okay, true, fine. All right, let's move it on. Let's move on here. 888-775-3773. Got a bit of a funny one for you. You know, talking about after talking about all this fear of the rise of anti-Semitism and all this stuff, you know, this is almost a thematic segue into this video. Should this person be re-educated here? Or is there no amount of racism re-education parallel to Holocaust re-education that will work on this person? Is it just a losing battle? This person has already chosen hate. What? By the way, that's actually an interesting side note, by the way. For all the Holocaust remembrance and we got to teach them so that it can never happen again. Isn't this an interesting point? Why are you trying to teach people that already hate? Because the world already hates. And I'm not sitting here saying like anti-Semitism is a special own form of hate. I call it it's all hate. That being said, just a point of logic to my friends, to my Jewish friends, honestly, to my Jewish friends whom I love. What are you out there trying to why are you out there trying to teach a world to love? What a losing battle. You can't teach the world to love. Because that's what they're thinking, right? They're thinking in their minds, we gotta educate these people about this Holocaust so that they may not hate. So let's put ourselves in their shoes. Let's have some love here for a second. Even though they're wrong, it's just another ism. It's just another victimhood status. Putting ourselves in their shoes, they're thinking this is how we teach the world to love. We teach them these facts. What are you trying to teach the world to love for? That's a losing battle. Not only is it impossible, you're literally sitting there trying to re-educate people who've already decided to hate, and that's the world. So, anyways, that's the side point. On this topic, though, right? It's a rise of anti-Semitism that must be stamped down. There must be work to be done to bring that down. I mean, I'm sure many will think similar things when looking at a video like this, maybe. But also, this is kind of just funny. Watch this.
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal motherfucker.
By the way, swearing alert. Apologies.
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal motherfucker. I'm calling Trump on you.
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal MFer. What is this? Is this Trump's America? People keep calling me and then hanging up maybe. Not sure what's happening. Call me back. I'll get to you. 888-775-3773. Is this a rise of something, some kind of ism that should be dealt with? Because in Trump's America, because look at this woman. She's yelling, and now we don't know what happened here. Yelling out into, we have to assume she's just assuming. She doesn't know these people. How does she know that? What, is there a legal status? Printed on their forehead or something? Or are you just looking at the color of their skin? Huh? In Trump's America?
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal motherfucker.
I'm calling Trump. I like her already, says Cecil. And you know what, Cecil? I got to say, a part of me likes her too. You know, part of me looks at her, you know, you might think this is some sort of rise of ism that we must deal with. But I got to say, although I may not use such words, I can't help but a part of me think, hey, is this a part of me, although I denounce all hate and violence and all that, a part of me thinks this person could possibly be some rabid, terrible, racist, hateful person, I'm leaving space that this is also just an American patriot, a based American patriot who cares about their country and their borders and, their country's identity in a sense, which is multiple levels, right? Religious, racial, ethnic, etc. So I'm leaving the same amount of space there that this individual is simply a based patriot. a based patriot who, I don't know, maybe this person was cut off. Maybe they overreacted. Do you really need to call ICE on this person? You were cut off maybe. What happened? What traffically happened? Is that even a word? Traffically? What happened, traffically speaking, for this situation to come about? That being said, I support her right to say it. And she's going to call Trump. I mean, what she's doing when she says she's going to call Trump on you, you illegal MFer. Although there may be assumption and maybe even anger at play, which I denounce all those things. I disavow and denounce all such things. What are the words she's saying? Oh, oops. What are the words? What is the meaning? What is the actual meaning behind the words that she is using? She's in fact not calling for violence or anything illegal to happen. She's saying she's going to call the president of her United States to cause legal things to happen. The only thing she did, in fact, if you're an honest person, hearing her words, the only thing you can gather is that she loves her country and wishes for legal things to happen, even if she's mistaken about this situation. Even if she could possibly be mistaken about this particular situation. What are the words she's saying? She's saying what? She loves America and wishes her president to enforce the law to make only legal things happen in her lovely America. I mean, that's really what she's saying. Am I wrong? I'm calling Trump I'm going to call Trump, the president of the United States, on you, an illegal person. In her mind, an illegal person who's committing a crime illegally, and who should be informed? Who should be informed in such a situation? Law enforcement, etc. And who better than the leader of all law enforcement? I might be somewhat wrong about that. Than the president. So, and I know I'm having fun with this one and playing around. I don't know why she yelled at him. I don't know what kind of trend this is, but I'm not going to call it ism, any kind of racism trend. Oh, we need to stop racism. No. Being illegal is wrong, and Trump should be called for that. And yelling out from your car, what causes one to do that? Hype, emotion, hype, emotion, and impulsiveness. What caused her to say the content of what she says? Well, that's a different story. I'll tell you right now, two things empowered her to say the content of what she said. Her president, and knowing that her president wants to do the right thing. That empowered her to say what she said. But why she said it, and in the manner which she said it, now that's emotion and impulsive and being impulsive. And now that has nothing to do with any ism, so I don't want to hear it, right? I think we can move on. I had enough fun with this one. I'm going to call Trump on you. I'm just saying. She wanted the Modelo the Mexican was holding. I'm going to call Trump on you. You can't do that. Drinking and driving. Yeah, she follows law and order. Let's go. Based black queen. Nick's conflicted because of his Latina roots. No. I dropped all... you must have missed the episode, Everything is Fake. I dropped, if I had any, I dropped all conflict, okay? There's no confusion. There's no mystery anymore. There's no having to, oh, Nick, where are you from? And I'm going to explain to them my mama was pregnant and I'm an anchor baby in America, but then I grew up in Canada. No. We dropped all that. I'm white, okay? I'm a coconut. Okay, I'm an anchor baby skinhead. I don't care what you call me. I'm white. Okay, white on the inside, pretty light skinned coconut. Gotta say, but yeah, we're just not doing all that. Everything is fake. There's no conflict. Anyways, we're having fun here with this one. Let's keep it moving here. This kind of segues into a little bit of interesting factoids, if I may, about Canada. And you know what? It's at the point where I'm considering, and you guys got to tell me if you guys would like to see something like this. Would you guys like to see like a sort of documentary style type expose intro or something, some sort of deeper look into Canada? Because why? Why am I asking? Because, well, besides the fact that I grew up there and I have a dual citizenship. Don't let me in the government. Don't let me be a politician. Besides being a dual, so what? That allows me to travel freely. It makes it a lot easier. I've spoken about this, and I think you got to see it. You got to see it because numbers. You could say numbers all you like, but all of you are already very aware of the mass migration that is happening in the West. All of you are very aware of how this mass migration has taken over certain areas. But, in your minds, it's varying degrees of an emergency, right? To some, it's not a big deal that I think already in some places in America, white children are already, like, in terms of births, there are already less white children, showing what? A demographic trend in America. What am I getting at? Look, it's at different levels of importance to people in their minds and urgency. But some of the stats coming out of Canada and recent migration are mind-blowing. And when you pair it up with what I've seen myself growing up there, it's incredible. I'm wondering, you guys, would you guys want to see something like that? Would you guys actually want to see like a deeper look into how transformative immigration has been in Canada? Consider for a moment the population of Canada. This is a nation of 10% the population of America, like around 40 million people. Population of Canada is 40.1 million. The entire population of California, the state of California alone, is more, or at least comparable to the population of the entirety of Canada. And in this country, there's just been a huge change in immigration, okay? Some of these recent charts coming out showing this, which already has been a transformative policy with immigration in my life growing up in Canada. I remember a certain moment where it felt like the floodgates opened, and already in a country that was diverse, in my mind, had suddenly become crazy diverse with foreigners like I'd never seen, hijabs and niqabs covering only up to their eyes, revealing only their eyes, stuff I'd never seen. There's even information coming out now that's supposedly showing an even more radical change. Some of this is interesting. Canada took in, according to Juno News, Canada took in 800,000 immigrants in only the first 4 months of 2025. In just the first 4 months. The year is not even up. The 1 year is not even up. Again, perspective. Biden's 4 years, around 10 million came in. 10 million. That was unprecedented. It's the border's been bleeding for decades. The practically 10 million with Biden, unprecedented. 4 years. Less than 4 months. 800,000 new immigrants. And this is a nation, again, of 40 million. 800,000. So let's try and put that in perspective, maybe. 800,000. Some charts for you. This one was fun. This one was interesting. I mean, just because of its visual effect. You know how people love visual effects, but that being said, here it is. The visual effect of this line graph exploding past 2020. This is net international migration, 1952 to 2023, Canada. You know, you see it pretty much hovers 0 to 200,000 for decades. And again, this is still post when they changed their immigration laws to allow way more of the world as opposed to just Europeans. Boom, explodes, absolutely explodes in terms of the amount of people coming in. Like, how do you make sense of that? How do you make sense of the world that calls you insane for calling this replacement migration? They just don't believe you. They'll call you racist, crazy, a number of things. But anyways, yeah, would you guys want to see something like that? Is that interesting to all of you? I find that particularly what's interesting to me, what I would like to detail, if I could even, what I would like to describe in detail in like a documentary format, would be to show just how quickly a nation can change, just how fast. I'm telling you, I would see Square One, which is a central mall in Mississauga, a city in Ontario in Canada. And I remember I'm telling you, Square One, it looked a certain way, and the people there were of a certain kind of people. I came here to LA, work with Jesse. I go back to visit, a mere year, 2, 3 years later? Square One is unrecognizable. I'm telling you, I'm in Pakistan. I'm in Afghanistan. I don't know where I am. So anyways, that's enough about all that, I think. Should I put a little poll, maybe? Let's do this. Let me see. How do I do this? Start a poll. Oops. No, end that poll. Don't vote on that poll. Ignore that poll. That poll's not important. I'm starting a new poll. Would you want to see a Canada immigration documentary by the Anchor Baby? Yay or nay? Let me know. Poll in the chat. Because if not, here's the reason too. Because if not, then we could use the Anchor Baby's energy and time to do like a cooler documentary of something else that something that we should kind of go deep on. Like if you want to see me make something, not to say I'm giving you space to click no in that just because you say no isn't just you saying I'm a dummy and I don't want to see you make anything. Or it's just you don't want to see me make this particularly. Maybe you want to see me make something else. Okay, all right, vote in the poll. Let's do some super chats here before we move on to the next topic. 888-775-3773. Let's move it on here. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the coffees. Someone, Pinocchio's helicopter with the very generous coffees here. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Someone, yet again, more coffees, back-to-back coffees here. Buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. We got some amazing super chats here. Thank you. Harmony Grits says, we like this Anchor Baby, right? That's Trump saying that. We like this Anchor Baby, right? He said that. Trump said that. William Joseph with the super chat says, it's time for another Bond men's conference. That's actually a nice suggestion. I got to maybe, forward this bug and put it in other people's ears. I know that people want to see that. It's been some time. I'm sure the men's conferences will return Very cool. Thanks for voting in the poll. Thank you, the Salty King Word. Appreciate the Salty King Word. With a Rumble rant on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. The Salty King Word writes, Boulder, Colorado is a bunch of rich elites. It's a bed of liberals like California. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't quite know that, but I gathered, right? Because isn't Colorado, didn't they legalize pot there and all that? Like, they're liberals, right? Colorado. Appreciate the support, the Salty King Word. Very much. Appreciate that, CLC. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you, everybody, supporting me on rumble.com. All my supporters, thank you very much. Amazing super chats. Thanks for all the supports. Okay, let's keep it moving here. Let's do this. Because I was just going off a little bit about, is it fair to say, immigration? If I may just give you this little tidbit, this little segment to wrap up anything else about immigration, so to speak. Because we're done with all that, right? There was a post on X which I think encapsulated this division. This division, they say it's race. They say it's all these things. But, you ask some people and they'll say, well, no, what divides us is much simpler, okay? Most people, they just want decent. They want just a normal, regular life. Others, they really don't. Others just want destruction and they just want chaos. So, what really divides people is the civilized and the uncivilized. It's not black and white. Some say it's religion. Some say it's a number of things. There was a post on X, which I think encapsulated this divide in a better way, in a more poignant way than most things today, if I may. This is also kind of just funny. You're familiar with the chirp, right? By now? I'm sure by now you're familiar with the chirp, the smoke alarm chirp. The chirp, it goes off in the background of some callers sometimes on my show, on the JLP show. Sometimes this smoke alarm chirp goes off in the background of a video of an individual you're watching. And it seems now the smoke alarm chirp, the low battery smoke alarm chirp everyone knows about it now. And it's racial. It's racial, okay? They say black people do not change the batteries. And then, you want to say the part of you that you say is either love or anti-racist, or I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just training from school. Whatever it is, that part inside you wants to say no. That part inside you wants to say that there's something else. There's some other reason. There's some other explanation for all these people who don't change the batteries of their smoke alarm detector, of their smoke detector, causing it to chirp intermittently. What, every 30 seconds at some cases? Some have concluded that black people are simply unable to hear them. And that's why you're getting black people disproportionately not changing their batteries. Allegedly. Now, I don't know. I don't think so. Personally, if you ask me, I don't think so. I think they might be able to hear it. They just simply can't hear it. They're just simply unable to hear it, they'll say. I don't think so. It is cultural, I think. So here's a post that described this societal divide, okay, and described the two kinds of people in America and what kind of people you don't want to be around. You might think, Oh yeah, black people. Well, hold on. Well, anyways, look, the point is it's just a funny tweet, okay? It's just a funny X post, okay? And it's about these alarms. This individual, KD Sign, posted on X. This person reposted Cole. And what Cole, so here's Cole on X. Cole says, the smoke alarm chirp is one of the greatest anthropological discoveries of the 21st century. Suggesting that this phenomena of the smoke alarm chirp and who can hear it and who change it, who deals with it and who doesn't. This Cole person is suggesting that the smoke alarm chirp phenomena has any anthropological basis at all. That as if the smoke alarm chirp really has any can really be used at all to scientifically study human behavior, especially across race and tribe, etc. Right? This Cole person thinks the smoke alarm chirp has anthropological basis in describing the different people. KD Sign, responding to Cole, says this: white people's obsession with smoke alarms really encapsulates their knack for neuroticism, as well as their tendency to get extremely distracted by minor issues. Oh, I see. So you can hear it. So you can hear the smoke alarm chirp. It's not that it's not that you can't hear it. It's that you don't even see it. You see it as an extremely minor issue. And not only that, anybody who cares about it is neurotic. I see. We're just completely different people. I see now. It's not a matter of education. It's not a matter of they can't hear the chirp. We're different people. You see, what they'll call neurotic, it's just a little beep, right? You can maybe if you're a certain kind of person, you could understand that. It's just a beep. In the entirety of an hour, in the entirety of a minute. Don't those go off like every 30 seconds? I was going to say in the grand scheme of an hour, it's actually much more granular. In the grand scheme of 60 seconds, 30 seconds is merely 50% of those 60 seconds. Or don't you think you're being a little neurotic? Right? And also, what's happening in those 30 seconds? A mere beep. It's a mere beep. In the grand scheme of things, aren't you being a little neurotic? Couldn't you just change your perspective and allow the beep to just be part of the background? Isn't it your own neuroticism not allowing yourself to relax? It's a beep that happens in an intermittent interval. You could, if anything, you should just let it relax you. And not only that, you care so much about such an extremely minor thing. So that's one perspective, right? That's one perspective. I look at that and I think, wow, we're just different people. We're clearly different people. What one would call neurotic. Neurotic is an urgent warning. It's an urgent beep that is expressing a particular bit of information. And this particular bit of information is that your smoke alarm detector is not operating as it should. This device meant to detect smoke and danger, etc. It has to do with maintenance, right? So the beep not only one would call it neurotic, but it's a constant beep that happens over and over again, and it's like a loud, sharp beep. You could just allow that to go into the background. Some just can't, and that's not necessarily neurotic. And here's the other point: on being extremely distracted by minor issues. This beep is constantly telling you you have failed to maintain something. And in your failure to maintain this thing is now defective and unable to protect you from smoke and possibly fire. Now, depends on who you ask, right? One person might say, wow, this beep is an extremely minor issue. Another might say, this beep is a sign of a minor thing that could become very major. Again, two kinds of people, right, folks? See, it's not. It's more of a humorous little segment here. But I thought this to be such a dividing post. You know, the two kinds of Americas. You know, you call it neurotic, you call it a minor issue, you call it a minor. Oh, just putting the cart back. And okay, that one's a contentious one. But just like, you know, little things like not littering or whatever. You call it a minor, right? You call it a neurotic and extremely minor issue. I'll say two different kinds of people, two different Americas. I found it egregious. I saw the chasm. You saw a little post on X. I saw a chasm. A great chasm between two people. You feel me? You saw one thing. I saw just an almost just a chasm that you can't really overcome. You know what I mean? Not how people think. A great chasm, don't you think? A great chasm, hard to overcome this one. When you disagree so deeply. So anyways. Moving on. More of a funny one. Moving on here. A silly one. You know, if I may, in the last bit of the show here. In the last bit, Nit forgot his do-rag. Okay. I used to live in a small apartment. Just take the batteries out every time you cook. Oh, yeah, so it doesn't go off? I see what you're saying. Yeah. You take it off when you cook, and then you put it back. So anyways, I got one more thing for you, and then I got to say bye. Unless you want to call me, 888-775-3773. We've done the topics. We've done the lovely super chats, the supporters. We've done it all so far. We did the news. We did the breaking news. My breaking take on it all. I'm even feeling pretty happy with myself. I feel like I did some important news. Like it's not all just useless news. You know, my ego will tell me I have to say something important today. Jeez. So annoying. So we done did it all. We're nearing the end of the show here. 888-775-3773. I do have another thing for you here. It's because I did this segment on Nancy Mace the other day. And some of you guys didn't even believe me. Some of you guys were like, what is this guy on about? So what is this guy even on about? And then you were back to chatting away, not even listening to what I'm saying. You guys don't even realize I'm right about that I have visions of the world. Okay? If you remember, Nancy Mace, we love our lovely Nancy Mace. What a hell of a gal. Nancy Mace, we love her, right? Republican, United States representative, firebrand Republican, right? Nancy Mace. Feminist, I have to say. She's a feminist. And why do I say that? Because she, you know, I've explained before, she cares a lot about female identity, and anything that's been an attack on this female identity has become her fight. Okay, and so it's not about what's right. For example, the trans thing. She finds it repulsive that men get to take women get to take the glory from women's sports, but that's it. That's it. And then she's been going on so Nancy Mace, hell of a gal. I've talked about her before because she's been making a big stink going on the House floor, alleging that this individual and a couple of other guys have full on raped her, took video of her, non-consensual sexual videos of her that she did not consent to. And she alleges that these people not only did all that, they sexually harassed her, that she was sex trafficked. She's alleging sex trafficking and rape, some pretty major allegations. And she's alleging that the governor of her state refused to look at these things, even though the governor denied that. They, in fact, said, we have been looking into all your claims, Nancy Mace. And she went on the House floor using her immunity as her position as a representative to speak on this case. Did you know these representatives are allowed to? There are multiple instances where these representatives are allowed to speak on the House floor freely, protected from any legal repercussions because of their position. There's basically an act that lets them do that. So some are criticizing her going on, using her position to allege this sexual assault and rape and traffic. And, I was wondering myself, this Republican woman, is this something really vulgar? There's something actually quite vulgar about this woman using her position to make these allegations that we can't even question her on because she's on the floor. It's like, just go to the law. Just go to the law, go to the cops and do what you have to do. Instead, she's using her position to make a new law that protects women from being, and women even further, even though there's already laws to protect women for the things she's talking about. She wants even deeper protections. And it's all for this feminist ideal to protect women, not for any principled, not from any principled stance, but just because it's like a militant protect women thing. And it's like, if you remember, we went through the bill that she was trying to put forth, and it seems like in many ways she's okay with, it seemed to me like she's fine with expanding the law in such a way that it seemed to be like to go beside, because there's already a process in place. It's already illegal to have to illegally film someone, especially for sexual reasons, and then put it out there. And that's another thing, right? That they call that revenge porn. So she's seeking even greater protections, right? And I think that's wrong. So why am I bringing her up? Because she was saying the other day, she showed a photo of her, a nude photo of her on the House floor the other day. You remember? Nancy Mace made a big stink, and she posted on X saying, "I'm going there. I'm going to show a nude photo of myself on the House floor." Now, the photo she showed was blurred a little bit. Many were disappointed. Many were disappointed. You know, they were promised. It's a little bit of false advertising from Nancy Mace. Many were promised one thing, got another. But the thing is, you know, it's you sick people, not me. You know, Nancy Mace, the thing is, why did she do this? She was making this show to bring attention to her case and her bill. Because why? Because she alleges that non-consensual videos of her were taken. The man who she alleges did all this denies all such claims. And no rape happened. That's what he says. So she says, oh yeah? This guy who claims to have never taken videos of me, well, look at this photo of me naked. This was a photo taken of me against my permission. Now that's all, she alleges this. This is all just her allegation. She just simply showed a photo of what looks to be a security camera. And then she tells us that this was taken by someone else and not her. And But all we're seeing is Nancy Mace show a blurred naked photo of herself saying, this is wrong. Did you really have to show that photo? You know, a part I was saying back then, the other day, this woman got a thrill over this. This woman gets a thrill about talking about how she gets sexually assaulted, how she gets a thrill over showing, and it was an impression. It's also an impression I have of her because of how flashy she dresses. She doesn't even dress like particularly, like she doesn't show that much skin. But as a representative, this representative of America, and for her district, I always found Nancy Mace as someone that dressed a little bit inappropriate, kind of like that Kristen Cinema person. Not that it was like showing a lot of skin. It's just that it was just too much of a fashionista, lots of bright colors. It's just way too look at me. When the classic language of a public servant, the way men used to dress, and they still do as a public servant, and even they kind of don't. You'll see them wear flashy America. You'll see some of these men sometimes wear America flag everything. It's like that carries a similar vulgarity in that the classic language of how a man dresses in the public servant is like this classic worsted suit, which is to say business, not about me. So I always found the Nancy Maces and Christian Cinemas as a little bit vulgar in their dress for that reason. You know, it's too flashy. And so from that, I got to say, from how much she loves to talk about how she got raped, how much she loves to talk about her naked body, how much she loves to show, I'm going to go there, I'm going to show a naked. I'm telling you, folks, some of you were saying I was off base on this one. It's like, no, Nick, she's most likely that's just like a side note. That's just sort of motivates her. I'm telling you, folks, this is just the Anchor Baby's opinion. The reason this woman gets up out of bed is because she wants to see who she can show off the sisters to. Who can I show the sisters off to today? And I don't even know if she has actual siblings. I'll let you conclude what I mean here. But I'm telling you, the reason this woman gets out of bed to go to the House of Representatives and do the big job with the big boy house is to show those sisters off. That's her motivation. Okay? I'm telling you. Why don't you practice what you preach? Where's your shirt and tie? Okay. I'm barely a man. But we're not talking about me right now. We're talking about Nancy Mace, and I'm telling you I'm telling you a huge part of her motivation. Just think about it. Like, she goes on the House floor to talk about her rape, and then the next day he's like, and then this happened to me, and then this happened to women, and then look at my breasts, look at how naked I am in this photo, and it's so wrong what's happening to me. Look at me again, naked in this photo. You guys were saying I was a little off base. I'm telling you, these women, some of these women, their whole motivation is to. Let me present to you another woman in politics moment. This is New Zealand Member of Parliament Laura McClure, and she showed an AI-generated nude image of herself in Parliament to highlight the dangers of artificial intelligence. You know what's funny about this story? Miss Laura McClure here, she did. You know who generated this? It's not like someone sent this photo to her and was like, Laura, look what they're making. Look at these terrible photos they're making of you. No. It's not like this was posted on social media and went viral and she was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I need to say something about this. No, it's not like some dirty, gross male posted this picture on her office desk or something. That pig. Ew, men are such pigs. No. Miss Laura McClure here went and generated this photo all by her lonesome. She went on the internet. She found some generator of photos like this. She typed in whatever she had to type in to generate this photo. She printed it out. She brought it to the New Zealand, whatever their House of Representatives is, whatever she's a member of, their parliament, right? The parliament. She printed it out herself, brought it to the parliament, and presented this nude photo of herself, which is AI generated to all of them. It's like, did you really, Laura, did you really have to do that? I don't think you had to do that. I think some of those actions were superfluous. I think some of those were unnecessary actions, Laura, here. And, you know, this is where I take it. Some of you wouldn't. Some of you wouldn't dare, right? I'm the insano. I'm the insane person judging and taking it there. But I got to say, I'm telling you, these women get a thrill. You think they're out there doing the big boy job, flying the 747, running the controls of the government, you know, with this deep motivation to run the government? No, some of these people, and fine, maybe there's some men like this, but we're talking about Laura here and Nancy Mace. No, their motivation is way more childish. It's way more childish. It's way more, who can I get to smile and fluster today? And I'm telling you, it's that shallow. It's that shallow. Yes, she generated the photo herself. And so she just had to show her nude body to the parliament here to make some point. I'm telling you, these women have sexual fantasies, and this is thrilling to them. This is thrilling. So I don't know why this is popping up now. Nancy Mace opened the floodgates. Will we see the females of the female politicians of the world present their nude bodies to the parliament in some show of political power? I don't know. It's the dominoes are falling here. I'm just reporting the news. Incredible. Don't you think? Let's get to some calls here. We got amazing calls here. 888-775-3773. We got Eric out of New York. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Love the show, by the way.
Appreciate it, Eric. How you doing, sir? Welcome.
I've seen better legs on a piano than these ladies.
What? Yeah. The legs on Mace and Cinema?
Yeah. So,
Nancy Mace is a pretty lady, no?
Yeah. So anyway, I was just calling to to say I don't find the decorum great in our politics. And in fact, I'm a guy who leans to the right, have voted right in the past. I wrote in Kennedy for president. That's who I voted for. And I would like to
for
get
2024?
Correct.
And when
I
you
voted
say Kennedy, you mean RFK?
Yes. I always wanted to vote for an Irishman. I always wanted to vote for a Kennedy, an Irishman, and a guy in recovery, so he hits all my bells. But that's not why I called.
No problem at all. Go ahead.
So anyway, these like decorum in Congress with these women, like the attire, the hick fever dream clothing that they wear, and then it goes on the Democrat side too. It's like, wearing provocative clothing and stuff like that. Listen, you're there for a job. You're not there to impress. And then that woman printing out the picture. Just imagine this scenario. A male politician prints out a whole picture of him and his hog and goes, hey, look at this. Look at this. Hey, look.
Fully generated hog and everything.
Yeah, hey, Jim. And he's not
hilarious.
making it small. And he's not making it small. Like, of course, he's going to go.
Right. And he's like adding to it, and he's like he's asking the AI to generate it a specific way.
Got muscles, abs. Because she's trying to throw that thirst trap out there, right? So when you,
that's what I'm seeing it as.
I don't know that dude. Until you said she printed it out, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that was on the internet about her. Like we used to see back on the information superhighway. You used to get a naked picture of the mom from some sitcom that wasn't her and looked like it was completely photocropped.
Yeah.
But this woman is trying she's trying to leverage an OnlyFans career after this politics thing dries up. And you think I'm being facetious.
Right.
I'm not.
No, you're talking like me.
So
I'm telling you, these are female gooners in politics.
Because we live in reality. That's why we're talking about the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And this is just our opinion. This is just our opinion.
Yeah. I have two eyeballs and a brain stem connected to them. So I see all these things. Now, to mention, I lean to the right. I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand this administration. In fact, I can't stand Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, okay, who look like they're being held hostage by Big Brother. Then Trump, who goes America first, starts pulling out chairs for the Prime Minister of Israel and starts getting us involved in Iran. So now we bring in Doge, we do all these cuts. How has it helped the American consumer? How has it helped the American citizen? We got a guy flying on ketamine, cutting costs, and trust me, I don't want to pay for circumcisions in Africa. Trust me, we need to cut that. But we don't need a guy who's acting like Nikola Tesla high on ketamine, cutting stuff that doesn't need to be cutted. We don't need an axe, we need a scalpel. Okay. So I don't really see where this administration's going. So maybe you could shed a little light and clarify it, because so far, it's America first, America first. All I see is us getting involved in another war with Iran.
Yeah, well, a number of things you brought up there. I mean, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. So Kash Patel is fascinating, man, because, you know, I was not even that familiar. I heard about, so put it like this. I don't know what you're exactly talking about, but Kash Patel is the current director of the FBI right now. And I saw the weirdest thing where Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were being interviewed by somebody.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're
talking
about that one, huh?
Yeah.
Marie, right? Baritromo? She's being interviewed by that Fox lady. Baritromo?
Yeah, I'm talking about them grifting for the last 2 years about Epstein killing himself and about Epstein. And I don't know about you, but the camera shuts off. We're gonna guys. Look, he did it.
I don't know the deets. Look, I'll tell you right now. I don't know the deets. I don't know the deets. I don't know all that. I know that everybody has their similar questions about Epstein, and I know that there were promises about the Epstein files being released, and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel making all these promises. So I'll tell you this: I don't know the details, but I did see. I really sincerely don't know the details, but I'll tell you this.
It's all good.
I saw Kash Patel and Dan Bongino sitting there. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
It looks
this is my spidey senses. It looked like fear. It looked like pure. It looked like me and my brother. Faces.
It looked like me and my brother telling my parents who drank the last beer when we were 13.
Yeah.
Like I don't even drink.
Beer. I've never even heard of it. What are you talking about? Like
that was beer.
It was weird. It was weird, man.
Beer.
And so I don't know.
I went to high school with an Epstein. Yeah.
So I really don't know.
Listen, man.
And but you said, well, you were saying about Trump. You brought up something interesting. What were you saying? The war thing.
Okay.
Iran. Thoughts on Iran? Why are you saying that he's getting us involved with Iran?
What we do, what's going on in Palestine. I really don't like what's going on in Palestine. It's murder, bro. Okay. This thing's been going on for a year and a half plus, and plus, I have nothing to say about it because it's not my country, whatever. But if you're asking my opinion on it, they're wiping innocent people out in Palestine, bro. There's still 10,000 Hamas fighters. It's been going on for a year and a half. They haven't made any headway. So what are we doing?
How is that involving us with Iran? I just want to understand what you were saying.
All right, so what involves in Iran? So who got us into war with Iraq? Benjamin Netanyahu, when he testified in front of Congress saying that we got to go in because of yellow cake and weapons of mass destruction. What's going on right now?
Netanyahu? No
after
way.
October? Benjamin Netanyahu in front of Congress.
I just didn't know.
Oh yeah,
because I'm familiar with the reasoning why America went into Iraq. Of course, it's the proliferation of nuclear arms. So I'm familiar. So Netanyahu, you were saying?
Well, that was supposedly chemical weapons and WMDs after we spent inspectors in for 4 years, and it didn't happen. And all I know is that 14 Saudi Arabians attacked us on September 11th, and we invade Afghanistan and Iraq.
Right.
Okay. So
I'm following.
Because this doesn't all happen in a box. So Afghanistan's the largest depositor of opium and lithium in the world. So we have a proxy war with Russia cutting into their opium, and then lithium, what's going to run the world for the next 120 years. And then we go into Iraq. So Dick Cheney's company can make billions of dollars and remake where they just destroyed, a la Palestine. We're going to make it into the Riviera of the East. Mm-hmm. It's going to be great. And guess what? If you're America first, you should not send another dime anywhere. Okay? You ran on America first. Make America great again. How is making America great again sending $135 billion to Israel?
You might be right. You might be right. I'll say that. Can I ask you some questions, though, out of just curiosity? Just out of what you're bringing up? I mean, put it like this, if I may. You've expressed a complicated geopolitical situation with this, which has its history. Some of the points you brought up, I'll leave as in the air for the sake of this conversation and this channel, right? You're saying, et cetera, right? You're saying this conflict in that region and Benjamin Netanyahu and what brought us in 9/11 and exactly and all that. The details of which is all that. I'm not arguing and getting into. But to summarize, side note, go ahead.
Just side note, I appreciate you letting me talk.
Yeah,
it's very respectful, and I appreciate it. And I'm from New York. I have had friends come back and kill themselves that were troops in Iraq, and I have family members that died in September 11th.
Fair enough.
So that's where my experience comes from.
And I'm not here, and what I'm about to say is not to dispute any of the facts or things that you brought up. I just want to leave those. I'm not making a comment on those. But you've described, to summarize what you've described so far, is you've described this complicated history and situation in that region. Can you answer that question though about what are Trump's actions? Because you've described a history that goes well before Trump. In your mind, you might be right. In your mind, what are some of the Trump's actions with Iran?
Why are we I'm sorry. Why are we messing around with the Houthis?
Okay.
Why are we messing around with the Houthis? Because of the Straits of Hormuz. And that has to directly do with Iran.
Yeah, I mean, it does. My understanding is the Houthis, Hamas, and all these.
You know what? Actually, hold on. Let's dumb it down. I'll dumb it down even better for you. Okay? What's the number one reason we need to go to war or get involved with Iran?
What's the number one reason?
How are they?
I don't know it. I don't know it. I don't see the reason to go against war with Iran. So
I'll tell you.
Okay.
There's no reason. The reason is Israel keeps telling us that Iran's going to wipe them off the face of the earth with a nuke. Then Israel, who has Epstein and all these honeypots, who gets blackmail on every single politician,
allegedly,
right or left,
allegedly
in the United States.
This is an individual calling my show. Okay. Anyways.
And then when they go to do something, they show them the photo of them with a 14-year-old whatever. And they go, hey, you better vote yes on that, or we're going to show this to your wife and to everybody, and your career's going to be over. Just like when Kennedy got in, and he starts...
To be fair.
Listen, everything on the internet is conjecture.
Fair, just got to say.
Okay, so listen, I have to admit, you're right. So all this is allegedly, okay?
Thank you, sir.
This is my opinion, and it's allegedly.
I appreciate that.
So I appreciate you. So that being said, you have Kennedy, who comes in as he's the health director, and the first things out of his mouth is that the biggest threat to our health is anti-Semitism. After, allegedly, one of his aid workers was caught in a sexting scandal with him during the presidential election, who is allegedly an agent for Mossad. So now you have a woman that's blackmailing Kennedy, and he comes out, and it's not red dye number 5, or it's not obesity or whatever. It's anti-Semitism is the biggest health concern. So I'm seeing this ether in the air, and I'm seeing anti-Semitism is starting to be pushed like BLM, and I'm like, hold on.
The cult of isms. I'm there. May I, because of time, though, we're nearing the end of the show. I know, I don't. Again, you're describing.
Be on this long.
No problem at all. It's just allow me to ask you this question because of time. Again, you're describing the region and its history and a number of things about it. Can we get to, in your estimation, what is it about Trump's actions? Because you called and you're saying that you're pretty unhappy with Trump as well because of how he's getting us into a war with Iran.
Because of the religious,
what's he doing? What's he doing with it right now? So that I may understand what you're saying.
Well, what do you mean? What is he directly doing that?
Yeah, because you called in to say that you're unhappy with Trump with how he's handling Iran. Well, how is he handling Iran wrong? Because you might be right. I just want to understand. Because you were describing 9/11 and the history.
Because he is backing Israel.
How is Trump handling Iran?
Because Israel cannot go to war with Iran unless they have us piggybacked on it. That's why.
It's my understanding. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And if he's America first, we should not be getting involved in anywhere in the Middle East. Get all of our troops out. Pull out now. You should be allocating that money towards the homeless, towards food, towards everything. He said he wanted to make this into the golden era of America. Do so.
Fair
Don't
enough.
be pulling out chairs
the
for
point's
Benjamin Netanyahu and paying for wars.
Okay, clear point. On that, what do you say to? Because you're saying you're unhappy how he's handling Iran. All this can't happen without America's help in the region with Israel, et cetera. Okay, I'm totally following you. What do you say now in response? What is your thinking then to the news? And because as far as I know, the news is that Trump is sincerely trying to make this deal with Iran. Now, could it be hard to do? Could it be? Could the whole world doubt his ability to do it? Could it? Fine. But as far as I know, and tell me where I'm wrong, the news is that Trump is sincerely trying to make peace with Iran as opposed to this war.
You ever hear of the old good cop, bad cop? Good cop, bad cop. That's exactly what that is. Good cop,
Explain
cop.
What you mean. Explain what you mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anyone's ever been incarcerated or locked up in this, cops do that. You have two police officers that pull you over. One of them's super nice to you, and the other one wants to take you out of the car and beat your brains in.
So you're saying
have good cop and
you're
nice
saying
cop.
Trump's attempt for peace is merely a show. He's actually
a good cop,
and he's the good cop.
Hey,
so let's just get clear what you're saying here. What you're saying is that Trump is actually in cahoots and in concert with Israel, and that
absolutely.
that all these peace talks are all for show. That he actually does not want peace and wants war.
How many times has Trump told you?
Is that what you're doing? Let's get that right. Let's get that straight, though. Is that what you're saying? You're saying Trump wants war, actually. That this is just for show. He actually wants war. So why do you say that?
Got him $120 million check from the largest Jewish donor.
Because you might be right. Just why do you say that, though? Who gave him what?
Because $120 million got him elected, and he pays back to people who got him elected. And the reason I say that is that he goes in.
So again, just conjecture.
Here.
You're not entirely sure. You're saying
no. Listen,
you've made that jump from him getting donations to he has to.
No.
Go ahead.
I made the jump even before that.
Fair
I
enough.
made the jump
Go ahead.
that I was going to say before that the conservatives, and I'm a religious man, the conservative religious people in this country believe that Armageddon is going to happen in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And the religious conservatives got Donald Trump elected. Okay? So he always pays his debts. The people that get him into the office, people that get him to the dance, he never forgets them, and he always takes care of them. Okay?
A commentary on right, I'm following you.
Okay, so
that's a commentary on from everything between loyalty to full on being in their pockets. But okay, you've made your point on that.
Okay, so I appreciate you letting me speak, and thank you. And it's just not Donald. It's just not Donald Trump. It's just not Donald Trump, bro.
Interesting stuff. I gotta say.
Just,
I definitely appreciate the call and definitely, I was just trying to get it all straight, right? If I
love your flight.
You please say again about the flight.
I love your flight show, by the way.
Hey, right on.
I don't know if you remember me, but I was caught in your bathroom a couple of times with the airplane.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, big time. I remember.
I love you. Hey, listen, I love your stuff, man. Keep it up. It's
Appreciate
great stuff.
your call,
I love
Eric.
watching your show.
It's sincerely. Call me again.
I definitely will. Take it easy, bud.
Yeah. I've heard some of the criticisms here. I just want to get it straight. I mean, where was I? Did I get to finish all the things I wanted to ask him? Whatever. He might be right on some of his criticisms. Leave it at that. I just want to get that straight, right? Because he made a particular claim about Trump, and I'm not even circling the wagons. Okay, you can criticize him. You're allowed to criticize him. It's just, I just want to get that straight. Exactly what the criticism was, and essentially he's saying, well, that he's in bed with Netanyahu, and I mean, you'd have to like. It's one thing to have a certain impression, and it's another thing to even say, wow, you can even back that impression up, but with let's be real, folks, decades of Republican and Israeli, call it support, call it working together. I don't know what it is, but this is a known thing. It's not a secret. Trump said it himself. He said it himself. This is to criticize the Israel lobby. You could never do that before. Trump said that. So, let's not being obtuse about that, if I may. It's just that where was I getting at? It's just it's one claim to say that, to be aware of this relationship and AIPAC and all that. But it's another, I just got to nitpick. It's another to say that, because the new, you get the news, and you know me, I'm reporting the news, and the news is what? Trump is making the sincere, honestly, it seems like a sincere attempt, Many are describing how embarrassing it looks for him. And you could see it, on one perspective, you could see it as embarrassing the way he almost, oh yeah, punchy. Folks, I got to go. The point is, you got to prove that claim, okay? That's an extra level. That's a whole nother level. It's one thing to say, oh, he's attempting peace, but it's not going to work out. It's a pipe dream. But it's another thing to say, oh, he's not even attempting peace. It's all a show. He wants war. Okay, prove it. All right, folks, I got to go. Punchy coming up. I got to go right now. So let me not waste any more time. Super chats and all that tomorrow, okay? Appreciate the support. We did the calls. We did the topics. We did it all. Take care. More Anchor Baby tomorrow. But for now, you can catch Punchy.tv and Punchy TV on YouTube. New episode coming out right now. Take care, folks. Bye for real. Bye-bye.